Do you think we should reduce the amount of pain that plants are experiencing?
Yes, we should. Plants matter. Hashtag plants matter.
Is factory farming better or worse than the Holocaust?
I don't want to play top trumps with the worst things happened. I'm saying one after the worst things.
You are not addressing my points. You are deflecting.
Good. Which one do you pick?
Probably a cheeseburger.
Imagine being so confidently wrong about a topic that a production company has to stop putting fact check boxes on the screen because the vegan philosopher in the middle of the room is just correct. Welcome to the Jubilee debate where 20 meat eaters try to outsmart one calm British man and fail spectacularly. Let's talk about it.
Sure am. I'm looking forward to hearing what reasons they've brought for their unethical lifestyles.
Hey, what's up, you beautiful, curious, and maybe slightly hungry human? Welcome back to the channel. For those of you who are new here, hi, I'm Katrina, your resident 20-year-old lifelong vegan host. Alright, so a couple of weeks ago, Jubilee dropped one of their surrounded debates. It's like a gladiator match, but for the internet content. This one was titled One Vegan versus 20 Meat Eaters, Dr. Jack Symes. Jack is a legit public philosopher and a researcher at a university, I think. He's not some random dude yelling on street corner with a sign, "Be vegan, go vegan. Animals' lives matter." He's an actual academic who runs a massive philosophy podcast. Well, it's not massive, but he runs it and he gets many views. The fact that Jubilee brought him on shows they wanted a real evidence-based conversation, at least, and try something different from their usual political debates. So for the next 20 or so minutes, we're going to break this thing down. I'm going to give you the facts that Jack was trying to present, and we're going to have a little laugh at the, let's say, creative ways the 20 debaters tried to ignore them. Grab a snack, maybe some carrot sticks or hummus. I don't judge. And let's get into it.
My first surrounded claim is extreme suffering for trivial pleasure is morally indefensible.
Alright, the debate kicks off with Jack laying down his central philosophical claim. He states very calmly, extreme suffering for trivial pleasure is morally indefensible. Now, pause right there. That is not a complicated sentence. Even a 5-year-old can get this. It's like saying setting your brother's hair on fire just to hear him scream is a bad thing to do. The pleasure hearing a funny scream is tiny compared to the suffering having your brother's head on fire. Easy, right?
I think it's super interesting that it touches on so much and all starts with food. So I'm an emergency medicine physician.
Do you want to, on the claim I made, first of all, do you want to, do you disagree with that first?
I do.
You disagree?
Jack wants to have a conversation about this very basic moral equation, and immediately the first debater steps up and does what 99% of people do in these situations. They completely ignore the claim and make it about themselves. He starts with himself, what he does for a living, and who he is. It's the classic defense. Forget the billions of animals suffering. Let's talk about me. But Jack stirs him right back. He's not there to debate your grandpa's farming methods. He's there to debate the claim. And then he drops the first major piece of evidence, the factory farming.
Can I give you the reason, then you can disagree?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think this principle comes from any of the major world philosophies. So you could be religious or not religious. You could be a Christian, a Jew, a Muslim. You could be a Hindu, a Sikh. You could be a Buddhist. Or you could have one of the secular moral philosophies as well. You could be an Aristotelian, a utilitarian, an existentialist. But the easiest way to understand it is just being a utilitarian, right? A good action is one where you create lots of happiness and pleasure and very little pain and suffering. But unfortunately, when it comes to factory farming, it's the other way around in our treatment of non-human animals in general.
He gives the explicit example of chickens. This isn't about a family cow named Bessie on a green hill. This is about the reality for 99% of the chickens raised for meat in the US. They're confined in massive crowded sheds, bred to grow so unnaturally large and fast that their legs can't support their own weight. They suffer from heart failure and crippling lameness before they're even slaughtered. And why do we do this to billions of chickens a year? In the US alone, it's 9 billion, by the way. For the trivial pleasure of a chicken nugget. For the taste. That's it. Well, it's just not America. It's happening throughout the world. But the major focus on this debate is America. The debater's response?
Civilization is about chasing triviality. And at the same time, I think that suffering.
On that, do you think that's too much suffering for the?
I would definitely also say that suffering is inevitable and it's essential.
It's
Suffering is inevitable. Oh, okay. So because bad things happen in the world, we should just cause more bad things. If you accidentally step on a Lego, does that give you a permission to step on a puppy? No.
inevitable, but you can minimize it, right? Is there too much there?
Jack's whole point is about minimizing the suffering we cause, especially for something as trivial as a specific taste preference. This is where Jack brings out the big guns, statistics. He talks about how the global demand for meat, particularly from Western countries, drives a system that is directly linked to world hunger. He mentions the 36 million children under 5 who are acutely malnourished globally.
But if you can just say, is that too much suffering imparted onto the chicken?
That particular example?
Yeah.
Whatever it takes.
Whatever
it takes to sustain 8 billion people across the world, I would say is
well,
not
it's easier
trivial.
to sustain 8 billion people without having animal agriculture.
It's possible. I'd like to hear the mechanistic argument for that. But I will say, as a philosophy, you're a philosopher, I'm an ER doctor.
Well, there are 30 to 60 million children that are dying every year from starvation. UNICEF put it at 30 million. Dr. Richard Oplander puts it at 60 million. And so every year you got 30 to 60 million. In 82% of those cases, the children are dying in places where the majority of the meat has been given to cattle and sold to more affluent countries. That's Ethiopia.
Now, Jack connects this to the fact that countries like Sudan export massive amounts of livestock, and the grain that could feed people in these countries instead used to fatten up animals for export. We are, in a very real sense, eating the food that could be on their plates. And the debater's response? He once again ignores the entire argument. It's like talking to a brick wall that basically says, bacon though.
That's Sudan. Sudan is the hungriest country major in the world, and it has one of the biggest livestocks in all of Africa. So you can feed these people if you go to plant-based. You need 75% less land, and the amount of agriculture which is used towards supporting these non-human animals to slaughter them, that's one of the biggest causes of not being able to feed.
You're talking about a massive problem across billions of people across many geographies, and I think what you bring up is probably true. But at the same time, I don't think the solution to it is just either you're vegan or you're not. And
he's not engaging with the idea that his land choice has global consequences. Jack has literally just proven his initial claim with data and logic. The response is just feelings and taste buds. And the audience seeing this train wreck of a rebuttal votes the first debater
their
out.
health as well.
Pause. You've been voted out by the majority. Please go back to your
Thank
seat.
you. Hey, nice to meet you.
Round 1 goes to logic and compassion. Shocking. I know, right? You know the irony? That an Asian woman, me, knows what's going on in the US and the US people don't know about it. Yikes. Although I am very aware of India exporting the largest amount of beef to Western countries. I am very aware of it, and I'm vegan and I don't support it at all. And in my opinion, nobody should.
How many mice, how many rabbits are murdered to produce vegetables?
80% of all of
How
the
many are
vegetables
murdered to
that are grown,
produce vegetables?
80% of all of them are fed to
won't
factory
address it. You
farms.
literally won't
I've just
address these
told you,
issues.
80% of all of soy is given to non-human animals. Only 7%
I'm going to stop you right there. I'm going to stop you
is
right there.
given to
The
human
soy
beings.
is
I'll let
grown
you
for the
speak, so I'll
oil.
carry
The
on.
soy is grown for the oil.
So
It
the
is literally
All right, second debater steps up and the energy in the room shifts. It gets a little heated. You can feel this person's frustration because Jack is so calm and armed with facts. It's like watching someone try to punch a cloud. The same pattern repeats. The debater defends eating meat based on personal preference or convenience, and Jack, like a gentle but persistent teacher, keeps bringing it back to the data. And this is where I want to highlight something that was, in my opinion, one of the most telling moments of the whole debate. Jack starts listing of statistics with named sources. He talks about land use. How much of the world's agricultural land is used for animal agriculture? A staggering 77%. Think about that. Over 3/4 of all the land we use to grow food is for animals. And what do we get back? Animal products provide only 18% of the world's total
that is a
calories.
manipulative
Here for a discussion,
statistic.
not here for
I
a
am here for discussion. You won't address the
75
points.
I've just
You-
responded.
no, no,
Let me
no.
respond.
Go
Let
back
me
to the
respond.
soy.
Let
Go
me
back to the
respond. Let me
soy.
respond.
And animal products provide only 18% of the world's total calories. It is the most inefficient food system imaginable.
Go back to the soy.
Yeah,
Go
I
back
am.
to the soy.
Then he brings up soy, which is classic gotcha for meat eaters. Oh, you Vegan are destroying the rainforest with their soy lattes. Jack sets the record straight globally. 77% of all soy produced is used as animal feed. Only a tiny fraction, about 7%, is used for direct human consumption, like tofu or soy milk. The soil deforestation problem, it's a meat industry problem. And then he talks about the extinction crisis. Agriculture is the primary threat to 86% of species at risk of extinction. Animal agriculture is the single biggest driver of a habitat loss and deforestation. This isn't just about feeling sad for polar bears, it's about the collapse of entire ecosystems that we depend on for clean air and water.
85%. It is literally the byproduct. They grow the soy for the oil. Even if it wasn't being fed to the animals, they would still grow the soy.
True. Only
That is
13%
true.
of it.
That is true. No, no,
Now, here's the fun part. During all of this, Jubilee, who usually loves to throw a fact check box on the screen to make things spicy and make the audience a little bit aware of who's lying and who isn't, giving the non-biased fact checks on their far right screen. Well, they didn't do it, not once. You know why? Because Jack was right. He was citing peer-reviewed studies and global data from reputable organizations. There is no fact check box for the truth. The silence of that missing graphic spoke volumes to me.
How's it going? What was your name, sorry?
B.
Nice to meet you.
Girl
B.
Gone Carnivore, actually.
You're carnivore?
I am carnivore. Full carnivore.
You do
So this will
you.
be fun.
Go on.
Okay, yeah, you
Why
do
are you
you.
a carnivore?
I do it mainly because I can't survive without meat.
Can't survive.
I cannot survive
like a
without
desert
it.
island scenario for you every
It,
day.
it is. It truly is.
What condition do you have, if you don't mind me asking?
Sure. I have gastroesophagus reflux disease.
Okay.
And so I cannot eat a vegetarian or vegan diet. I will literally get very, very sick. And I was actually vegan vegetarian when I was 16 years old. And that's when I got diagnosed. I've been on a journey. Thank you.
You've seen dietitians, you've spoken to GPs, you've seen doctors.
I've seen doctors, I've seen GPs. They've all put me on medications, and I was on medication for over 10 years that actually ended up depleting my vitamin D levels and put me in great amounts of depression.
Okay.
And I was also told by doctors that I would never be able to powerlift.
So the third debater is a woman who comes forward with a rare condition. She has allergies to virtually all plant-based foods. She's one of those extremely rare cases where a vegan diet is not medically possible, and Jack, to his credit, is compassionate. He understands her point and acknowledges that his moral framework is about aiming to reduce suffering where possible, not everyone having to do it. He's not there to give her medical advice or therapy. He's there for a philosophical debate. He makes it clear that advocating for veganism for the vast majority of people doesn't mean ignoring the valid medical exceptions of a tiny minority.
Hey,
Hello, nice to meet you.
what's your name, sorry?
Daniela.
Nice.
Then another debater comes in with a common story. I was vegan, but I got really sick. I had vitamin deficiencies. Jack's response is spot on. That's what supplements are for.
All whole foods plant-based vegan, so I wasn't having seed oils or...
Were you taking supplements?
No, I was not.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I subsequently developed PCOS symptoms as well as gout.
Yeah.
So eating... So
It
you are
do
pro...
be like that.
Yeah, you are against whole foods plant-based?
Yeah, I think any sensible nutritionist will say that you need to make sure you're doing it properly. You need to be doing it carefully, and that means, for a start, taking a B12 tablet.
A well-planned vegan diet requires B12 supplementation and sometimes others. He points out that the health risks associated with eating meat are well documented.
Vision. I think going straight to the source and just having a B12 tablet is absolutely fine. I think when you put those two diets in front of someone, like if we're not in this debate and someone said to you, right, here's one diet where you take a B12 tablet and here's another one where you've got an increased risk of heart disease, more likely to be obese, more likely to develop all kinds of cancers, and you're going to live 15 to 20% longer according to the Christian Adventist study here in the United States, then I think most people would go for that one.
Now, this is where I'm going to pause and throw in my own 2 cents because I have a slightly personal disagreement, just a slight disagreement with the good doctor here. Jack says take supplements. And while I agree that B12 is non-negotiable, I am generally wary of telling people to just start popping pills. Here's the thing, supplements are not regulated like medicine. They fall under the category of food, which means the FDA doesn't have to approve them for safety or effectiveness before they hit the shelves. So I don't support this. You really don't know what's in that bottle. So my personal take, if your doctor, a real licensed medical professional, recommends a specific supplement and a specific brand, then yeah, listen to your doctor as long as they're not paid to sell you those. But please, for the love of kale, don't self-prescribe a bunch of stuff you saw an influencer shilling on Instagram just because you feel like your iron is low. That is a topic for a whole other video, okay? But consider this your official disclaimer. Whole foods first and only use supplements under medical guidance. That's all I want to add here.
All right, hi, nice to meet
First
you.
thing in your diet. You all right? How's it going? What's your name, sorry?
My name is Nicole Ashley.
Nice to meet you, Nicole Ashley.
Yes.
Jack, how you doing?
I'm great. I think killing plants is murder, though.
Oh, dude, don't do this. Come on, you're joking.
You're ripping it from the ground. You're ripping it from its mother. It's murder. And I enjoy the trivial pleasure of doing what the lions, with the hyenas, with the tigers have done for history.
So you think plants can feel pain?
Yes, they can.
So you want to reduce that pain?
You know why?
Do you wanna
Because I have an azalea, and when I don't give it enough light, that thing dies, so it feels it.
As the first claim's time is winding down, a fourth debater steps up. And instead of a logical argument, we get a skit. A whole performance, a piece about how plants have feelings and get hurt when we cut them down. Hashtag plant matter, lives matter. Plants do not have a central nervous system. They do not have a brain. They do not experience pain or fear in the way a sentient animal does that you guys eat. I mean the debaters, not all of you, of course. We can acknowledge that plants are complex living organisms without equating harvesting a field of wheat to slitting the throat of a conscious, terrified pig. It's a false equivalence, and everyone in the room knows it. It's the Hail Mary of a losing argument.
My next surrounded claim is that everyone should aim to be vegan.
The second claim Jack makes is everyone should aim to be vegan. Now, notice the word aim. It's not everyone must be 100% vegan overnight or face my wrath. But guess how the debaters hear it? Just take a guess.
All right, if you would like to be the first debater for this claim, get to the chair in 3, 2, 1.
Hi. Hey, what's your name?
Nathan.
Nice to meet you, Nathan.
Nice
How
to meet
goes
you
it?
as well. It goes pretty good. Yeah.
So the claim everyone should aim to be vegan, you happy with it?
No, and here's why.
There, Jack is forcing me to eat grass clippers for every meal, and I'll never eat my grandma's meatloaf again. Fascism. It really showcases the reading comprehension or listening comprehension level in that room. Jack is speaking from a purely moral point of view. He's saying, given the evidence of suffering, environmental destruction, and inefficiency, the moral goal should be to move towards a plant-based diet as much as your circumstances allow. The meat eaters, however, are speaking from a point of view pure, unadulterated pleasure. But I like steak. But I like cheeseburger.
Burger, cheese on it, cheeseburger, real cheeseburger.
It tastes so good. And this is where we see some true comedic irony. There were some very conservative American voices in that circle, the same people who will passionately argue for abortion bans to protect the life of the unborn were in the very same breath fiercely defending their right to eat a slaughtered animal because it gives them pleasure. The hypocrisy is so thick you could spread it on a toast. We must protect life at all costs unless it's delicious and we eat it. Then it's fine to kill it. It's a mental disconnect I will never understand. The people who want to be the guardians of life are literally eating life. The debate moves on and we get a little fun moment. Another debater comes forward and there is a bit of chemistry between him and Jack. They're joking, they're laughing. It shows that you can have a serious heated debate about ethics and still be a human being. It wasn't all doom and gloom. Then John from Jubilee actually steps into the debate circle himself. And this was the most reasonable part of the whole show, at least for me. And another guy. The third claim was,
My next surrounded claim is that factory farming is one of the worst moral atrocities in history. Nice to meet you. What's your name?
Vidor.
Vidor. I like your shirt. It's
Thank
nice.
you. I like yours too. It's
Oh,
very
thank
cool.
you.
I
ain't got long, so
I agree. Your points about veganism and your definitions are very correct, but I disagree with the claim that you just made about it being the biggest atrocity in the world.
Yeah.
Because I think the biggest atrocity would be people dying and
It
starving.
was the biggest atrocity. It was one of.
One of the biggest atrocities, but I think one of the biggest atrocities would be people dying and starving in places like Mongolia
Agreed.
or in places like Antarctica, where growing plants is maybe harder, and where major consumption of food is through meat. And
I agree with you completely, and that's why I said veganism is a practical rule to do it as far as possible. And also, as I mentioned
It doesn't
earlier,
justify,
the majority of these children are starving in countries where the produce is fed to the animals, and I think zoonotic diseases taking tens of millions of lives is bad. So even if you don't care about non-human animals, you should be vegan for the sake of human beings as well. Join me. Convert. Are you there? Vegan?
No, yeah.
You can take my seat.
I was vegetarian for like 6 months, but
given the scale of the suffering we have already discussed, billions of animals living short, painful lives, I don't think it's a stretch. Of course, debaters will disagree. When even asked a mind-blowing, disingenuous question, what is the life value of a human versus a cow?
Okay, so we're going to have Holocaust up here. Is factory farming better or worse than the Holocaust?
I don't want to play top trumps with the worst things happened. I'm saying one of the worst things that's happened.
Well, I'd like to know though, like because you clearly have some metric.
Do you want to hear the reason? Do you want to hear the reason, and then you can respond?
Well, I want to know the ranking. So we have Armenian
I'll give you the
genocide.
reason.
We've got
You need to hear the
Holocaust. Where are they
argument.
at?
I'll give you the argument.
Okay.
I'll be quick, and you can come straight back. So there are around 80 billion cows, pigs, chickens, turkeys that are slaughtered every year for human consumption. When it comes to fish, it's in between 3 and 10 trillion. The difficulty in getting the fish is for every pound of fish you catch, you get about 3 to 5 pounds of bykill. So we're talking trillions and tens of billions. But it's not just the non-human animal suffering which is bad. Obviously, factory farming has huge impacts on people. Earlier on, we were speaking about how 30 to 60 million children die of starvation each year, 82% living in countries where the majority of the produce is fed to non-human animals. It's also true, and I'll just give you one more example, of diseases too. According to the World Health Organization, 75% of all emerging diseases are zoonotic. Zoonotic diseases such as Ebola, swine flu, arguably COVID-19 on the fence.
Okay, let me go through
bird
number
flu
one
as well.
before you go through
So
two.
you've got tens of millions of deaths, hundreds of millions of deaths
let me start
of
there
human
before we go
beings,
through
and the
this.
climate destruction
So
too.
first you started with the numbers of death of animals, right? Like
Yeah.
that's a relevant metric for you. How many deaths of cows is equal to the death of one Jewish person in Auschwitz?
That is not the point. The debate isn't about whether a cow should be allowed to vote or drive a car. It's about whether a cow should be forced to endure a lifetime of extreme suffering just so you can have a cheaper burger.
Give me the number.
How many cows for one?
Well, because you
Jewish
said,
person
I asked you why it was bad, and you said because the number of cows that are slaughtered every year. So I'm asking you, what's your ratio? Like, how many cows dying is as bad as someone getting gassed in Auschwitz?
Well, can we extract the Jewish person Auschwitz?
Well, I'm using the worst atrocity I can think of.
Well, I don't like to play into the
Are you cool with
anti-Semitic.
how about the Armenian genocide? Can we talk about that one?
How many cows are worth a
The debate also veered into religion, which is, as an atheist, I'm just going to touch with the 10-foot pole. To me, it's all a wash of mythology that can be interpreted to justify anything. I'm here for the evidence-based ethical arguments that don't require a holy book that I need to read. Just to add on the already knowledge I had to wrap up in my head.
It's just this little thing that vegans call empathy.
Finally, Jack's last claim is veganism is good for the world and humanity. He wraps it up with the 2 short but major arguments: zoonotic diseases and climate change. Factory farms are breeding grounds for diseases. We know that 75% of emerging human diseases are zoonotic. They come from animals. Packing thousands of animals together in filthy, stressful conditions is a recipe for the next pandemic. Veganism is a public health measure. And of course, someone asks the inevitable questions. What about animal testing for life-saving
World
vaccines?
Health Organization, or what they think is the leading cause of COVID, was the wet market in Wenyang, killed 8 million people. Again, I'm not interested in debating the cause of COVID, so let's just go Ebola, swine flu, and bird flu obviously coming from birds. So I think that if you don't want vaccinations, we don't want mandatory lockdowns, we don't want forced masks, and we don't want tens of millions of people dying in the future, one of the biggest risks to humanity is going to be zoonotic diseases. So I think that's a really strong reason. and then the refugees and all of the climate destruction and the deaths that are going to come from climate change. So I think those are two really good reasons.
Okay, so I've got two really important things that I want to ask you. Go ahead. So animal testing.
Yeah.
For all of the devices, immunizations, they need to, per the FDA, do animal testing first so that they get approved for human use. So are you saying that shouldn't be a thing?
Yeah, there's a researcher at Cornell University, a biochemical engineer, that thinks only 6% of all of the experiments done on non-human animals transfer. Harry Harlow was the chief editor of one of the biggest journals in this area. He looked at 2,000...
Where's the research?
So he looked at 2,500...
Where's the research?
I'm giving it you now?
No. I want to know who wrote the paper.
Oh, Harry Harlow, the editor of the Journal of Comparative and Physiological Psychology.
Really? And you think that's enough to prove your point?
He looked at 2,500 articles and he said, quote, most of the observations, most of the data is not worth publishing and most of the experiments are not worth doing.
So you're...
He's straight from the horse's mouth.
No, hold on. So you're basing what you just said on one person's opinion.
No, I just told you 6%.
No, his opinion on what a whole bunch of other people
He's one of the
have
experts in the area, yeah.
Yeah.
And
okay.
I also said that the biochemical engineer at Cornell said the same.
So you'd be comfortable with
that's Michael Schuler.
Okay. So anyway, can I finish? No, can I finish? Thank you.
Excuse me.
Jack answered with research, but here's my personal spicy take. Animal testing is selfish and evil. If you're making a vaccine for humans, test it on humans. But that's cruel. Innocent people might die. You say, fine, I have a solution. Test it on the humans who have forfeited their right to ethical consideration. Convicted murderers and rapists. That's your test group. Want to protect innocent human lives? Start with the ones who know for a fact are innocent. Problem solved. The debate ends with the remaining debaters, a bunch of adults in kids' bodies, arguing about wanting a puppy instead of understanding why they are not mature enough to raise one. The whole conversation is frustratingly American-centric. They forget that obesity rates in the US are over 20%. This diet is literally killing them while they exploit the global south for their own fleeting pleasures. It's a system that's broken on every level, morally, environmentally, and physically. Anyway, that's my reaction to the Jubilee surrounded debate on veganism. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Did Jack do a good job? Were the debaters as frustrating as I thought? And remember, always question your pleasures, especially when someone else pays the price. Peace out. Quick note before leaving. If you want more real takes on internet culture, subscribe.